Today I fucked up by setting my Wi-Fi hotspot to bomb detonator. Final update. First post. Second post. Too long, did not read. Lost another job, moved to another state, still rebuilding my life. Mental health issues suck. Get diagnosed and get help. I have delayed posting a final update because I wanted to get to a point where there felt like an ending to the story. That keeps not being the case, and I've received enough messages from people asking how I'm doing or how things played out, so here it is. Thank you to everyone who reached out to me and asked how I was doing. I know some of you truly care and some of you just wanted the details on how things ended. I'm sure you'll understand why I didn't respond. 6 months after losing the job in my previous posts, I got another job. A month into my employment, I grew confrontational with a security guard and lost that job too. I was then forced to work as a line cook at a local diner through the Thanksgiving and Christmas seasons. Without the financial support of someone I served in the military with, the whole story would have ended in a divorce and/or a suicide. Instead, my spouse and I sold our house and moved in with our new roommate in another state. I burned this account because my former coworkers discovered or were told about my posts. I did not say my goodbyes to most of my former coworkers or my friends. I completely ghosted one coworker who wanted to have lunch. I felt like I was going into exile. I still feel like I did. Shortly after arriving here, I finally had the breakdown that everyone saw coming, and I had to turn myself into the for suicidal ideations. They sent me to a mental health care facility where I stayed for the next month. Then I went into a year of dialectical behavioral therapy with the local Veterans Affairs. What followed was a short period of working in a grocery store, some vocational rehabilitation from the VA, and then a short term as a contractor for a local hospital. While I was working that job, my current job fell into my lap. It was an opportunity to take on more responsibility than I ever had, but also a chance to redeem myself. I took it without hesitation. It has not been easy, and I struggle with my responsibilities. This month will mark my 1-year anniversary with my current employers. During this period there have been a lot of medication changes. There has been a 6-month period where I didn't sleep properly or at all and almost lost my marriage again due to my behavior. I went back into a mental health care facility for a week. I'm currently dealing with physical health issues that take time to clear up and slow my mental health progress. Emotionally, I never fully recovered. I have panic attacks, insomnia, suicidal ideations, and need medication and constant therapy to keep moving forward. I call the Veterans Crisis Line regularly. Many people have wondered how I could do the things I did, how my life ended up like this. The truth is that I had untreated complex PTSD, untreated ADHD, and undiagnosed borderline personality disorder. I was on a strong dose of an antipsychotic medication for insomnia. I was, literally, a ticking time bomb, and I had been for years if not decades. Once I lost the first job, the pin was out of the grenade and I spiraled. When I lost the second job, I spiraled even faster. It was only the impending sale of the house and the move that kept me together at all, and barely at that. We all have problems, some of us more so than others. If someone in your life expresses concern about your behavior or your worldviews, take that as an indicator that maybe something needs to be looked at. It's possible that there is something wrong that needs to be addressed. I didn't listen when people told me I was too angry. I didn't listen when people said they were afraid of me. How could they be? I still saw myself as the scrawny kid who got the shit kicked out of him in school. I was afraid of the world. How could they be afraid of me? I don't have a happy ending for you, as my life is still a struggle to keep my issues from being everyone else's problem. I am less prone to outbursts and I reel myself in quicker, but I'm not where I feel you need to be in order to be called a functioning adult in society. This isn't the end for me. I am still fighting to survive. But I am my own worst enemy, and it will take years to get to a place where I feel like this saga is over and I've truly recovered. So you were the bomb all along, glad to hear you got defused. Hey buddy, I separated from the military in 2008 and have been hiding my feelings, thoughts, and rationalizing my behavior as, just the crazy guy everyone knows, until it really started to affect my family. I got help and I am on the road to recovery. It took me 14 years to realize something was wrong. And when I was diagnosed with PTSD and TBI, I was absolutely relieved that how I felt had a name. Keep up the good work and take it slow and get small daily wins. They really add up. You were the bomb that needed diffusing this whole time. Crazy how that works out. I am glad to hear you're doing well, and I am proud of you for continuing. Much love to you and your partner. Black heart, black heart. One more time. I'm so proud of you. Keep going. There is never an end to the story. Keep on fighting. I feel you so much on the undiagnosed disorders, and I know how hard it is to fight those demons when they ride you. You are worth it. Keep on trying. Hey there, Reddit stranger. I hope my words reach you and say that while you don't have a happy ending yet, the road to it I hope you walk in a steady and peaceful pace. Also, I don't know if this advice helps. When I am angry or stressed I bake. Or make sauces and custom spreads for sandwiches. All that anger I turn into a gooey form of creativity. It helps for me. I do have to watch my weight though. My egg sandwiches are pretty addicting. Today I fucked up by taking an edible for the first time. Too long did not read. Took an edible for the first time ever that was 40 mg on an empty stomach. Felt like I was dying, called 911 and almost ended up in the hospital for being stoned. A fun trip with my friends almost turned out to be a trip to the hospital. I was going out with my friends and my friend asked if we both wanted to take an edible and I gave in. Not even thinking about the dosage and the fact that I took it on an empty stomach. At first I was happy laughing and thinking this isn't bad. Then it started to kick in and I knew it was going to be bad. My throat started to get dry and felt like it was closing. I demanded they please stop the car. I had to get out for air. I was getting claustrophobic. My body was getting numb and tingly and I was starting to feel like I was outside of my body. The trip was over and we were heading back. I tried to eat to help, but couldn't even swallow. It felt like I was choking and couldn't breathe. Again, I told my friend to stop the car and I jumped out during heavy traffic at a red light. I tried to ask other drivers for help. My friend got me back safe in the car. I still can't believe that happened. I was having severe panic attacks. I was so scared and hysterically crying. I felt like I was having a heart attack and blood was in my throat, so I spit to see and no blood was seen. She brought me back into the car. Then my mood changed from depression to anxious. I would tell my friend I'm scared. I felt like I was having a heart attack multiple times. I felt like my heartbeat was in my throat, but they were telling me it was a panic attack. We got back to our friend's place and I had to stay outside for air because I felt like I was suffocating. I got another panic attack, got in the car and fell onto the pavement. My friend held me and I was laying on the floor with her holding me. I finally got up and went back in the car. I started to doze off and not pay attention to anything. My friend would talk to me to snap out of it, but it was so weird. I would keep dozing off to the point where it felt like I was close to my last breath. I told my friend to please call 911, and she said she was, but she was kidding. So I ended up calling 911 because of my panic attacks. I told them I needed help, but my friend told me they weren't coming because I was stoned and that's nothing. I called again, multiple times, to make sure an ambulance was coming because I felt like I was going to die. They took me inside of the ambulance and sat me down. They took my vitals and said everything was fine, but I still felt like I was dying. All I wanted to do was go to sleep and not feel like this anymore. I just remember the medic saying you're fine, just stoned out of your mind right now. But to be honest, I felt like I was being tortured. I wanted to die. I was very shaky and fidgety and not responsive. My family came to check on me and talked me out of going to the hospital. The medics and police were awesome and let me go. We went back up to my friend's house where we ate and got rest. That was one of the worst experiences of my life and I'm traumatized. Why did my body react that way to the edible unlike my friends who were more relaxed? I once took about 300 mg of a 500 mg chocolate bar on an empty stomach. After 45 minutes, I didn't feel much, so I ate the rest. I went to the bathroom and didn't even think to turn the lights on. I ended up having to yell for my girlfriend to come get me because 1. I had no idea which way I was facing while sitting on the toilet, and 2. I couldn't stand or walk anymore. I knew I'd be fine once it wore off though, so I didn't panic. Haven't had any edibles since lol. Edit. To answer your question, you were greening out. It happens with some people when they ingest too much. Pro tip. CBD acts like Narcan but for weed. CBD has a higher affinity for your CB1 and CB2 receptors compared to THC. If you get too stoned, take some CBD. It should knock the THC off your receptors and bring your high down a little bit. Significant other works on dogs. Dogs who take too much THC, by getting into your edibles, for example, have difficulty regulating their body temp, and they get super cold. They need CBD intervention before this happens. Source: I make CBD oil as a small business side gig and have treated my dog with CBD after she got into my gummies. Raw full-spectrum CBD tar put on her gums, took her about 2 minutes to come out of the coma. Snoop Dogg says he doesn't do edibles because they ain't got no off button. 40 mg is a lot, especially if you have no tolerance. I used to smoke but haven't for many years. I recently ate a 25 mg edible and I was uncomfortably high. Not to the level that you were, and I knew what really high felt like, so in the moments where my chest felt heavy I was able to reason with myself that nothing was physically wrong with me. But at the peak of the high I was still uncomfortable. This is why I don't like edibles. The fact that you gave in to taking it suggests that you didn't particularly feel comfortable doing it. If you take a drug like that for the first time, or a bigger amount than you're used to, you need to be in the right mindset. You need to 100% want to do it and be aware of everything that might happen and what to do. You need to be in a relaxed environment and not driving around in a car, and you need friends around you that you can trust. Especially not ones who joke while you're tripping. I wouldn't try this again because you'll be anxious about it, which will definitely give you a bad trip. But if you do, please be safer. It can be a scary feeling, but it's never really physically dangerous as long as you don't do anything stupid, like pass out in a hot tub or something. Just lay down with one foot on the floor, drink water, and you'll come down eventually. Today I fucked up by nutting on the stall door at school. Too long did not read. Masturbated in school and unloaded onto the door of a stall. Got caught and suspended. I really wish this was a joke, but unfortunately it isn't. I'm a high schooler, and I've been trying to quit masturbating. Today in my math class, I suddenly got a really strong urge to please myself. I told myself to wait until I got into my lunch period to think about it, which I did. Once I got to the cafeteria, I waited until around halfway through the period before going into the bathroom and entering a stall. The bathroom is set up in a way so my stall was at the end of a narrow hallway, and had solid brick walls all around except for the typical stall door on one side, gap above and below door. Because of this, I was pretty hidden. Anyways, I got into the stall, and immediately started to pleasure myself. After a bit of that action, I was about to reach the end of my experience, and needed a place to deposit the load. For some reason, I got up off of the toilet, pants still down around my ankles, walked to the stall door, and unleashed my load at point-blank range onto the door. Foolishly, I didn't realize that slick metal is slippery, so a considerable amount of my delivery simply hit the door and slid down onto the floor, or never made it to the door, and just fell onto the floor in puddles. Another thing I didn't consider was that in this previously mentioned narrow hallway leading to my stall, people sometimes form a line to get in. As it turns out, there was another student on the other side of the door I just wanked onto, and he had a clear view of my pants around my ankles, as well as the white puddles on the ground below my feet. Later in the day, I got called down to the dean's office, where I had to explain to a dean and counselor why I masturbated in a school bathroom too. Ejaculated onto the stall door in the end. My parents were called, I was suspended, and I have had many uncomfortable conversations today. Man, back in my school days math wasn't that arousing. First off, don't stop slinging rope. Just stop doing it at school. It's healthy to bust on a semi-regular basis, and at your age, it's healthy to do it more. If you stop altogether, you'll have wet dreams and wake up covered in your own spunk, or potentially cause yourself health problems. Just wait until you're home, or at the very least, in a single-person bathroom with a locking door. And release your load into the toilet directly, or into a wad of toilet paper that can be tossed directly into the toilet. Makes for easy cleanup. Edit. Fixed an autocorrect error. Gotta be honest, you deserved it. Every sane person would have nutted on a piece of TP and flushed it down, and nobody would have ever known. You probably had this epiphany due to post-nut clarity, so I'll leave you to think about it. So did the kid standing next to the door tell the dean, or the word got out and then they came to know about the deed? Some poor custodians gotta clean that too. You owe him, her big time, my guy, lol. I always wondered who the twisted pervs were who did this shit in high school. You're telling me you got up off the toilet at the finish line to stand and ejaculate onto a wall, instead of just pointing your dick down into the toilet, just because you felt an inkling? Nah, you get off on knowing that somebody else is going to have to clean up your jizz, and that's pretty fucked up.